I believe that our students perform better on standardized testing than students not in the New Tech model because they experience a deeper immersion in the content.
A New Tech classroom provides a context to the curriculum, and it's very, it brings the world to the kids.
It gave me the esteem to really branch out, to really more speak my mind, to work together, to be a voice.
They're fearless, these students. They will dive into any application wholeheartedly, and they will figure it out oftentimes faster than we could.
Basically, all we're about is like trusting each other, respecting each other, being responsible, and as long as you are like all those things, you'll be fine here.
.903, that means at 9:33, everybody better be up front, and one of you guys better be ready to go.
When I taught in a traditional classroom, I felt like it was all about, me, and all about how it, what did I say? Did I get them to a certain place? Did I teach them the right things? Did I lead them in the right direction? And in a New Tech classroom, it's much less involved. It's certainly student-centered rather than teacher-centered. I'm a facilitator of their learning. I facilitate how they get there. I try my best to keep them within certain lines of, not to stray too far, but without restricting the learning that's happening. A beautiful thing happens when you tell a kid, here's what you need to do, and you have to figure out how to do it. But I'm right here. So I'm more of a facilitator than a leader.
We would have to do that otherwise. We would just have to put a link for every single picture we had.
Not really.
The more I try and script out what I want them to create, oftentimes that's limiting to them, and I'm only going to get that exact script that I create. Whereas if I give them kind of carte blanche to run with it a bit in some directions. Obviously you have to still get them to learn the standards, but the more freedoms you can give, the higher the quality of the work I see.
The teachers, they have this belief that these crazy kids need structure to be successful. And we want to push them away from that and to allow the students the space to go in their own direction to solve the problem. Because if they're really pushing themselves in that way, they're going to be learning how to learn and learning how to solve problems rather than just learning rote information that they have to regurgitate later on a test.
We're able to be treated like young adults. I feel like if you're never treated like an adult, how can you be able to act like one?
Students are accountable for their own learning, but it doesn't mean that they are not supposed to behave correctly. Classroom management in a New Tech classroom is the same as it is in any other classroom. Teenagers are teenagers, and even though they may be being productive, it may not be readily apparent to most adults that they are being productive. They have their own ways of working at things. They socialize, they chat, sometimes they'll maybe get a little bit distracted but then come back, and you have to allow the students to do that.
When I think of a regular class, I would usually think of sitting in a desk with maybe a book in front of you and some paper, and we're listening to a lecture and taking notes. But mostly in New Tech, we are sitting at the computer. The teacher gives you the instructions.
Then you need to be working on your portfolios still.
You log in, check your agenda, you see what you have to do for the day, and really it becomes a work day where you're sitting at the computer getting your work done on your own time.
The philosophy of New Tech, its foundation is project-based learning. We use a one-to-one computer-student ratio as a vehicle to help our kids get to the end product.
Same standards. We're still pursuing the same standards as every teacher. Kind of our paths to get there are different, I would say. I can borrow some of the same maybe scaffolding activities that help kind of reach those standards, but the projects I develop are specific to those standards.
We did a project on Shakespeare, and we had to build or construct a business plan to make a Shakespeare play possible. And we had a budget, and we had to, that's, economics comes in, to figure out how to, control the money and how to market it. And then for English, we had to study Shakespeare and like the meaning, and we had, we had to find like the really deep themes and bring them out in this marketing business plan.
I feel like I learned different, but I also feel like I learned like what is needed to be learned, because my first year New Tech last year, I felt like I wasn't learning much because of tax, and so I was nervous. But then when I got in front of the tax test, I knew everything because of the projects that we were doing. The projects that we do help cover the teaks that we need to be learning over a course.
When they have something to relate that curriculum to, when they can make it a real-world application, then of course that information is going to stay with them, and they're going to make sense of it. And so, for example, on a standardized test, when they ask a real-world question, it's nothing new. They're used to that. They had to put all that curriculum in a real-world situation already.
I built it though by hand.
So you don't have a place to eat, you don't have a place to sleep, you don't have a place to go to the bathroom, but you have a skate park.
Missy, you want to have fun, don't you?
We ask students to take risk within our model.
Next.
We ask them to do things that they've never done before, to work with others, to develop the communication techniques that they need to work with others in groups. We ask them to think at a higher level, to synthesize multiple subject areas together.
The Story of Stuff is a polemical video that was released on the 4th of December of 2007. It is narrated by an activist named Annie Leonard, who is the co-creator and coordinator of Gaia.
We ask them to create and expand using digital technology. All those things are risk for the students, and as they become better and better and better at manipulating them, they gain more confidence and therefore mature at a faster rate.
However, Annie Leonard's film is full of misleading and incorrect information, as well as being on the far side of the liberal spectrum.
In New Tech, every 6 weeks, every end of a project, you have to go up there, you have to speak out loud, you have to say what you're presenting. So over time of just doing that over and over and over again, you get used to it, you get confidence, and that just builds your self-esteem so much more that when you go up there, we're not just mumbling and turning red and just feeling embarrassed. We're just being confident in our own projects and then the work that we did.
Okay, because the next time you do this exercise, you won't be doing it on paper and you'll be doing it in college. That's why we went through this project, okay?
These students have been trained to play school well for so many years that they get into New Tech, either as freshmen or sophomores, and it's so very different to them that some students find it hard to adjust.
The computers are a resource for us, to do our research and whatnot. They're not something where, okay, well, let's get on the computer and play video games all day. That's not allowed.
Technology is a tool. Just like a carpenter has a hammer, these students have to learn how to use that tool to accomplish whatever it is they're going to accomplish.
Sometimes these kids, of course, you go home, they use the computer as a distraction, they play games, they do whatever. But when you're at school, it's work. You use it as a tool to get your work done. So once you get that switch made, it is extremely powerful.
With the technology, you have a conduit to so many different applications and softwares, tools that you don't have otherwise for the students to access, and where they can demonstrate their creativity. So it just opens up the doors, I think, to more options that you can reach a student that may have been possibly unreachable in a regular classroom.
You have the entire internet, every piece of information you could ever want is at your fingertips. So the walls fall down in a classroom with the help of a computer.
Our students are digital natives, yes. They perform better, or they would prefer to use, say, the internet to going to the library. That's not to say that they shouldn't go to the library. Yeah, of course they need to go to the library. But they need to know how to negotiate properly this digital world that they live in. They need to know how to find reliable resources within this world. They need to know how to manipulate the tools that create the digital world, because this is where our economy is going. This is where our future is on a global level.
I do believe we prepare students very well to be successful outside of college, better than we have in a traditional classroom. And the reason I say that is because we really focus on, again, these learning outcomes, how to use technology as a tool to solve problems, how to speak, again, how to act like a professional. What does that mean? How to write and speak and communicate effectively. Those are very core skills that, regardless of how much the professional environments and business environments change, those are foundational skills that every working person, every professional needs at some point to one degree or another.
Could this model be successful for every student? Absolutely. Because of our goals of getting the student ready for what they're going to see when they get outside of high school. Because until now, they haven't been prepared. We have not been preparing them for what's going to go on after high school.
This model, I think, is very definitely one that is going to help our future generations be more productive.